Currently walking up the Burnside Bridge here, Old Town, Portland. This is JVP, Jewish Voices for Peace Action, blocking the Burnside Bridge to support a ceasefire in Gaza. So this was the west side. We're gonna head up to the middle, see what's going on there. I was trying to do this video live on Facebook, but they no longer support landscape mode for some reason on a live stream, and I wanted to use my gimbal, so it was either record it in a landscape and upload it, or hold it by my hand, have a bumpy, ugly video for you all. So I decided to forego the live stream and do the upload. So here we are.
Real quick logistical request to please clear the north lane. Everybody who's standing in the northernmost lane on the bridge, move towards the center or move onto the sidewalk for your safety. Thank you. Asking to move that, yeah, you got it. Great. We're just moving some things so more folks can sit down. Yeah? All right. How's everyone doing? Here, breathing, witnessing, taking it in. Thank you all so much again. Next, we have Janavi to offer a song.
Hi, I'm Janavi. This is going to be song number 10. It's at the very bottom of the first page and it is squished and hard to find, but it's there. This is by a friend, Joshua Blaine. And I just want to say as we sing this song together and as all of us are here on this bridge, thank you so much for being here. May everybody, all humans in all lands, know and remember in our bones and in our blood and in our hearts that none of us are free until all of us are free. No one is getting left behind this time. No one is getting left behind, not this time. No one is getting left behind this time. We get there together, never get there at all. We get there together, never get there at all. We get there together, never get there at all. No one is getting left behind this time. No one is getting left behind, not this time. No one is getting left behind this time. We get there together, never get there at all. We get there together, never get there at all. We get there together, never get there at all. No one is getting left behind this time. No one is getting left behind, not this time. No one is getting left behind this time. We get there together, never get there at all. We get there together, never get there at all. We get there together, never get there at all. No one is getting left behind this time. No one is getting left behind, not this time. No one is getting left behind this time. We get there together, never get there at all. We get there together, never get there at all. We get there together, never get there at all. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, song team. Okay, up next we have two of our organizers who are also descendants of Holocaust survivors coming up to speak on that and the connection there.
Hi again. I'll wait for you to come up, join me. Hi folks, my name is Kat. I'm gonna take this off. It's actually short for Catherine Duval Petru. And I know we don't often share our whole identities, but it feels important to name that in this moment. As long as I've been organizing and supporting Palestinian liberation, I don't tend to share my own story or my family's story. It just doesn't feel like it's the point. And there is a connection, of course, between people being genocided and trauma being weaponized. And so I'm here along with my friend Sophie, I'll just be sharing a brief story, and then Sophie will share as well. But I just want to share an anecdote with you all. So about 80 years ago, my Nana was in the Czech Republic, and she and her family were taken from their home in a small town called Chotzin, and they were put on a train, and they were brought to a place that they, of course, eventually learned was a concentration camp called Terezin. And when they got there, the AFAB and AMAB folks, men and women, were separated. So she was separated from her father and her brother and was in a line with her mom and her sister. And as they approached the Nazi guards, my Nana wasn't 20 years old. She was somewhere between 15 and 20 years old. The Nazi guard motioned for her mom to go in a different line and for she and her sister to stay there. And I don't know if she knew that her mom was being sent to the death line, to the incinerators. But something in her demanded that she do something. And so she told the Nazi guard no. She just, I don't know what she said or how she said it, but she refused to be separated. And for some miraculous reason, he listened and they were not separated. And she and her sister and her mother survived the camps. And this was after generations of being displaced, first from Spain and then into the Czech Republic. They survived and they wound up here on Turtle Island. And so whatever that was in my Nana that moved her to tell this Nazi guard no is what informs me right now and always to stand with my Palestinian siblings and say no. Never again means now, and never again means for everyone. No to genocide. No to apartheid. No to settler colonial occupation. Free Palestine. Free Palestine!
Hi everyone. My name is Sophie, and I wanted to share a speech with you all that I gave on November 8th when I had the honor to stand with other grandkids of Holocaust survivors and many of you all here at the East Side Federal Building to demand that our representatives and the political establishment call for ceasefire, which is still our demand today. But to share this speech again with you all here now, I found I had to make some changes to rewrite and revise. That's because since that time, just a month ago, the numbers of dead have at least doubled. So many new atrocities have been unleashed, and the attack on the foundations of Palestinian life, the attempt to make Gaza uninhabitable through all the tools of state terror, relentlessly proceeds. In just a month, we have moved so much deeper into genocide. On this last night of Hanukkah, it feels like we're swallowed in darkness, searching for hope, for miracle, for the light of ceasefire. So I'm here, heartsick. I'm undone, but I'm here. And while witnessing this nightmare unfold, I've also seen my Jewish community trying so hard to be brave, to defend life, to fight for Palestinian survival, because it is all our survival. I'm standing here today because my grandparents survived Nazi concentration camps to have my mother who had me. Growing up here, this history, this grief, and the potential of genocide was always so near, so baked into my understanding of who I was, why my family was so small, of why we were in the United States, of why my mother was such a determined person, and why we had a responsibility to respond to the persecution of others. I remember this so clearly as a little child, sitting at the Passover table with my family and being asked to read aloud the part of the Haggadah that was a remembrance of the Holocaust. The passage said that we remember those who perished in the Shoah, and in their memory and in their name, we dedicate ourselves to fight against racism, state violence, and genocide wherever they may exist. It was an early teaching that I've held close throughout my life, that never again means never again for anyone. This is what I was told would keep us safe after catastrophe, after the catastrophe of separation, and after having been singled out for destruction. And we're here today to claim that lesson as descendants of survivors of the Holocaust, to uphold that mandate now, that necessity to defend the lives of Palestinians against racist state violence and genocide, against destruction. We are here heeding that call, the call of our dead, to fight for the living. I remember my 82-year-old great-grandmother crushed in a boxcar en route to Auschwitz as we fight against the mass kidnapping of Palestinian men stripped in the street and packed into truck beds, heading into the oblivion of the desert. Watching this inhumanity being perpetrated by those carrying the Star of David on their uniforms, on their flags, is a sickening corruption, a desecration of our holy symbols. And it's an assault. It's an assault on the memory of our dead, on the meaning, the warning, and the imperative of never again. I remember my grandpa Saul, who was stabbed in the back on a death march, as we fight against the internal displacement of 1.8 million people in Gaza who are being starved and gunned down as they're forced to flee between so-called safe zones over and over and over again. I remember my 14 murdered and disappeared family members as we fight against the extermination of dozens of entire Palestinian family lines in a flash. And I remember little Bobby and Kitty and Ava, who were 6, 7, and 3 years old in my family when they were murdered with the approval of the German state and its Hungarian accomplices, as we fight against the murder of over 7,000 children by the state of Israel with its American war chest. We are here today because we were taught to know in our bones that when a state can engage in the wholesale slaughter of over 18,000 people, the orphaning of over 25,000 children, the bombing of hospitals, ambulances, schools, homes, places of prayer, entire neighborhoods, because of their identity, then it's an existential danger to us all. None of us are safe when genocidal powers are allowed to persist. Today, all our liberation, all our freedom, all our safety, all our survival is bound up with the destiny of the Palestinian people, no matter who we are or how we pray. We cannot stand by as another generation, another people is singled out for destruction, is made to suffocate in the darkness while the world, the public, and the political establishment just stands by. We are here to say no, to answer the call of our relatives, our ancestors, our history as survivors and as those who do remember. To say never again means never again for anyone. Never again is now. End all aid to Israel and the occupation. Ceasefire now. Thank you.
Thank you all. Sigil, come on up.
Hi, I'm Sigil or Sai, so I'm just gonna take my name as a note to take a breath right now. I said, hi, I'm Sigil or Sigh, and I'm gonna take my name as a reminder to take an exhale. I'm gonna lead a song on, it's number 4. And it's from scripture, and it references that nations shall learn war no more, but I wanna be very clear that we are aware that this is a genocide. And please sing with me, and also you can yai to die if you don't have the lyrics. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yilmedu od milchama. And everyone neath their vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And everyone neath their vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And into plowshares turn their swords, nations shall learn war no more. And into plowshares turn their swords, nations shall learn war no more. And everyone neath their vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And everyone neath their vine and fig tree shall live in peace and unafraid. And into plowshares turn their swords, nations shall learn war no more. And into plowshares turn their swords, nations shall learn war no more.
Get this mic adjusted. I'm a little taller than some of the other folks who have been speaking recently. Hello, everyone. My name's Dove. I'm a member of the Jewish community here in Portland. I grew up here, and I'm here on this bridge today because I am called to take action against the genocide being perpetrated by Israel against Palestinians, a genocide which continues to unfold day after day. For those who have joined us here, thank you. It is so heartening to see so many people in Portland, especially the many Jewish folks here, some of whom have known me since I was a little kid, to demand our congressional representatives actually listen to us. To reiterate, we are demanding a ceasefire now, an end to U.S. military funding to Israel, and an end to the occupation. The Israeli government and its apologists depend on conflating Jewish people with the Israeli state to justify their brutal occupation of Palestinians and their ongoing regime of ethnic cleansing. So I want to take a minute here on this bridge to explain how Jewish people have historically used the term Israel in two ancient and one modern way. First is Am Yisrael, the people of Israel, meaning the Jewish people. In the Torah, we read the story of Jacob, who wrestled with an angel and was renamed Yisrael, the one who wrestles with God. As descendants of Jacob, Jews are called the people of Israel. The second term is Eretz Yisrael, the physical land of Israel, which is often used in reference to the ongoing spiritual connection of many Jewish people to that land. Our sacred texts reference the people and the land of Israel numerous times, and many of our holidays are tied to the seasonal cycles of the land. But these two meanings of Israel are fully distinct and predate Medinas Yisrael, the modern political state of Israel, created through the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in 1948. Palestinians call this the Nakba, the catastrophe, which is not a single event 75 years ago, but rather an ongoing process of ethnic cleansing that is central to the structure of the Israeli state itself. Zionism depends on conflating the Jewish people, the physical land of Israel, and the modern political state of Israel. But these are not the same. We know the leaders of the Israeli state do not care about the safety of Jewish people, especially here in the United States. We know this because the Israeli government actively courts and works with right-wing anti-Semitic organizations in the US, the same organizations that directly threaten our Jewish communities here in Portland, here in Oregon, and in the United States as a whole. I know that I am here, and that many other Jewish folks who showed up here today came here because the Israeli government claims that the genocide they are committing against the Palestinian people is necessary for Jews to be safe. We know this is not true. Safety does not and cannot come at someone else's expense. As Jews, we know our safety can never come from militarized borders. It can never come from the police. It can never come from an oppressive ethno-state. Occupation, ethnic cleansing, and genocide will never make us safe. Instead, as Jews committed to joint struggle for collective liberation, we know that our safety is built through solidarity with other communities. Here in Portland, we know the specific threats to our community are coming from the same people and groups that also threaten Muslims, Black communities, queer folks, Arabs and Palestinians, refugees and immigrants. The same people calling in death threats to synagogues are doing it at mosques too. As Jews in Portland, our path forward is to true safety is by working in solidarity with other communities, in committing to our intertwined struggles for liberation, in building trust, relationships, and becoming powerful together. We become safe in community with others, not in isolation. Yet too many leaders of Jewish organizations in Portland reject this path to safety. When those who claim to speak on behalf of the Portland Jewish community say they stand with Israel, when they turn to cops rather than building systems of care, when they say anti-Zionist Jews who deeply love their community are not really Jewish, they are making all of us less safe because they are working with oppressive systems rather than building networks of communal solidarity. We know these so-called leaders do not truly represent us here and do not represent our views. As one of many Jewish people here today celebrating the last night of Hanukkah on this bridge, I am rededicating myself to working in joint struggle for collective liberation with Palestinians and with all communities under threat from oppressive systems. My Jewish values, the values I learned growing up at synagogues here in Portland, call me to stand against genocide, against occupation, and to demand our congressional representatives publicly endorse an immediate, unqualified ceasefire. On Hanukkah, many Jews here say, Nes Gadol Haya Sham, a great miracle happened there, the miracle of Hanukkah. Today, here on this bridge, we say, Nes Gadol Yehyeh Sham, a great miracle, the miracle of Palestinian liberation will happen there. And we dedicate ourselves to continue to take action, to say there will be no business as usual until Palestine is free. Chag Hanukkah Sameach. And we will have Mel speaking next.
Thank you so much, Dove. Hi, everybody. I am a queer anti-Zionist Jew, and I have been appalled at the way Zionist Jews have been using Judaism to justify genocide. Yeah, I'm not appalled with my Judaism, I'm appalled with the way people are using it to justify genocide. The Judaism I grew up with offered a freedom of interpretation that thrives in this diasporic religion that I've grown to love. But while we here today are using this power of interpretation to dedicate Hanukkah to Palestinian liberation, Zionists are appropriating this Jewish holiday to support the violent terror of a political project, aka Israel. As many of us know, Zionism is propped up by many lies. Lies that say all Jews are indigenous to Palestine, lies that say Palestinians have no right to their own land, all plain lies. We must proudly interrupt these lies at every turn to let the world know that Zionism has no virtue in this moment. It is, to put simply, a settler colonialist political project. Woo! One that has killed nearly 20,000 Palestinian martyrs and additionally orphaned another 20,000 plus Palestinian children just in these last months. We must stop this project today, tomorrow, and every day until there's a ceasefire, an end to the occupation, and a free Palestine. So in interrupting these lies, it's important for us to know what the Zionists are saying. So the Zionists are conflating the story of Hanukkah with their illegitimate pursuit to occupy Palestine. They conflate the story of the Maccabees overcoming an anti-Semitic Grecian Empire to their own pursuit of terror and genocide in Palestine. These are not the same things. Zionists do not get to make Judaism about Israel. Judaism is thousands of years older than Zionism. Nearly 4,000 years older. We must resist the dangers and lies at every turn. And so, let's turn to the miracle of Hanukkah. In 2nd century Jerusalem, once the Maccabees reclaimed their holy temple from the Greek Empire, they found only enough oil to last one night, but instead it lasted 8 whole nights. The miracle, in my opinion, taking the liberty of interpretation, is the miracle of making the most of finite resources in order to survive and to thrive. When we find enough oil to hold us, that should be enough. We should not take any more than we need, especially if it means the oppression of other people. And so I am disgusted that during this holiday, the holiday of the miracle of lights, Israel is already signing away digging rights to oil fields in occupied Palestine to the United States. I am disgusted that Israel continues to destroy olive trees belonging to Palestinian olive oil harvesters in order to terrorize them. Shame. We call out Israel and the United States' greed for even more oil and land. We must divest from Israel. We must fight tooth and nail to put pressure on the world to liberate Palestine. We say, ceasefire now, because we do not need any more fire than the flames of the candles that warm us. Let the candles from this last night illuminate the urgency to rise to free Palestine. Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
name is Rocky, and I'm here to lead a song. Song number 6 on your song sheets. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. Olam Chesed Yibaneh, number 6 on your song sheets. This word chesed, it means more than love. It's loving kindness. I believe we're all here for this. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, yadai, yadai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, yadadai, yadai. Sorry. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Now the English. We will build this world with love. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. We will build this world with love. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. And if we build this world with love, yadadai, 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 then God will build this world with love. Yadadai, yadadai, yadadai. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Can you hear me? My name's Maxine, and I'm Jewish, and I'm also speaking from the perspective of a health provider to talk about health in Gaza right now. So why do we talk about health in Gaza? For one thing, healthcare is so importantly enshrined in many international conventions of international law and international humanitarian law. Health facilities, hospitals, clinics, ambulances, as well as schools and religious sites are protected under such strong accords as the Geneva Conventions. As we know, as we've been watching unfold for the last over 2 months now, there have been immeasurable numbers of violations of these human rights. The most fundamental of human rights have been violated in this Israeli assault. It's also said that healthcare providers, not unlike journalists, are witnesses. We're witnesses because we know the stories that are told to us by our patients, that we see every single day, and we bear witness to those truths. And those are the truths that the oppressors don't want to have released out. Hence, healthcare workers are being targeted. The health system in Gaza, as you've been reading, I'm sure, has collapsed. Imagine that, a healthcare system that has collapsed. That's unimaginable, unimaginable. In 2011, 2012, and 2014, I had the privilege of being part of health delegations that went to Gaza. We traveled to many hospitals, clinics, women's aid centers, and schools to learn about health, mental health, and healthcare in Gaza, and to help out where we were needed. During those visits, I met some of the most amazing, skilled, and dedicated health practitioners I have ever met in my life. And I saw the toll of occupation, of siege, and numerous past Israeli military assaults on the Gaza health system. That's before October this year. I can't even talk about it now. Even back then, the health practitioners talked often about doing their work and then having to go home to their families, all of whom lived the same trauma as their patients. And I think about this wonderful psychiatrist who's a dear friend of ours, soft-spoken Dr. Abu Jamai, who is the director of a large mental health center in Gaza. During the assault of 2014, Dr. Yasser Abu Jamai and his family were sitting down to their Eid meal when an Israeli missile hit their home and killed 28 members of his family, including 19 children. Dr. Abu Jamai goes back to work every day healing the trauma. We don't know where he is right now. The Israeli occupation and 16 years of siege have devastated what could otherwise be an amazingly well-developed healthcare system. Doctors and nurses are very well trained in Gaza. I say were very well trained. Why were? Because in the first several weeks of the assault, the medical center, the medical school at Islamic University was bombed and destroyed, and the nursing school was also destroyed. As Canadian-Palestinian ER physician Dr. Tarek Lubani said in an interview, most of these medical professionals, men, women, when they are killed, it's also the death of the programs that they lead and the death of the patients they would have had. It's also the death of the health system. As we know now, the sanctity of health is being disregarded. The World Health Organization said the sanctity of healthcare is less and less respected, and it appears that the world in its silence has lost its moral compass. Health is definitely a place to point one's moral compass. I'm going to cut a lot of what I was going to say because I think it's getting close to darkness. There was one thing. I have just two more stories I want to very quickly share. One is a friend of ours, a dear friend, a counselor at the Gaza Community Health Center. She tells us about the talk that she's had to have with her children during past assaults. It's not unlike the talk that African American parents have to have with their children. Our friend Rauya gathered her young children together during one of Israel's past military assaults and said to them, if you are the only one left in our family, the only survivor, what will you do? What will your plan be? Imagine having to ask that question to children 4, 5, 7 years old. And now parents are writing their children's names on their bodies. They have to, because often the bodies are so badly injured that they're not recognizable. And so many children are the final survivors of their families. And one last story. Dr. Yusuf Mahdi, a doctor in a maternity hospital in Gaza City. On November 12th, he had been working endless, intense hours in his private maternity hospital, and he decided to go outside for a break. While he was outside, the hospital was hit by a missile. Dr. Mahdi was wounded, but he survived, although his whereabouts right now are not known. However, inside the hospital were his brothers, also doctors, Basil and Raed, along with their family and many patients. There were many displaced people living there, families seeking shelter in the hospital. He spent all night looking for survivors and going through the corpses to recognize those who he could find. Dozens of his family members, patients, and staff lay beneath the rubble. Finding no one alive, his sister tells the story that he waited on top of that pile of rubble until the next morning. At that point, he collected the surviving members of his family and decided that they needed to flee, as they had been ordered to do so south. They started on the long journey, and when they encountered a checkpoint of Israeli tanks and guns, He did all he could think to do. He removed his white coat and he held it up as a flag, waving it as they went through. I want to shout out one important call, and I'd ask you all to remember the name and go onto Google and look him up, Dr. Mohammed Abu Samia. Dr. Samia was arrested by the Israeli forces when Al-Shifa Hospital was invaded a few weeks ago. He's being held along with several nurses and other members of the medical staff from Al-Shifa Hospital on administrative detention. This is a kind of detention Israel uses also frequently, including many, many times with children where there is no legal process given to the person. He's been held and his administrative detention has been extended. There's a national movement calling for the release of Dr. Mohammed Abu Samaya, an esteemed physician and the head of Gaza's Al-Shifa Hospital. I wish I could read the names of all those who have been targeted and killed. I wish I could bring oxygen, medicine, incubators, bricks and mortar back to rebuild what has been destroyed beyond all imagination. For now, we will remember you, our beloved and esteemed colleagues and friends. Rest in power and know that we will not desert your dedication as healers. Cease fire now.
Thank you again, Maxine, for bringing that in. I just have so much, again, appreciation for everyone being out here tonight, being out here in the cold, being out here in the winter. I think that's such an important, strong showing of support because we were not going to stop. We're not going to stop through this winter. We're not going to stop coming out. We're not going to stop even if there's a ceasefire. We're going to keep going. Keep going. I can't remember if I said my name at the beginning. My name is Zia. I'm a Jewish Voice for Peace organizer, and I'm going to share a little bit with y'all a post that was actually put on the Institute for Middle East Understanding, IMEU, specifically because in this moment a lot of people are talking about the UN. And I think we need to bring in the history of the many times that our country, the US, has blocked resolutions necessary in the UN. Last week, the UN Security General invoked Article 9.9 of the UN Charter. This hasn't happened in decades. The Security Council then had an emergency meeting and voted on a resolution calling for a ceasefire. The US alone vetoed it. The US has vetoed at least 35 UN resolutions that would protect Palestinians from Israel's crimes. This is shameful. In October, the US vetoed a resolution that advocated for pauses in Israel's brutal and indiscriminate bombing. The resolution also called on Israel to walk back its evacuation order of northern Gaza, which human rights experts says amounts to the crime of forcible displacement. In 2018, the Israeli military was brutally shooting, attacking, and killing peaceful Palestinian civilian protesters participating in the Great March of Return. The UN voted on a resolution saying that the Israel military shouldn't use excessive and indiscriminate force against Palestinian civilians. The US vetoed this resolution. In 2017, the US announced it would recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and move its embassy there. The UN voted on a resolution to push back against this and say Jerusalem's status must be defined based on UN regulations. In a 14-1 vote, the US vetoed this too. In 2001, in the wake of the Second Palestinian Uprising, the US vetoed a UN resolution that called on Israel to abide by international law. The US has also vetoed at least 4 UN resolutions that condemn Israel's theft of Palestinian land to build illegal settlements on and replace the Palestinians living there with Israeli settlers. Israel's ongoing theft of Palestinian land is illegal under international law. It is clear that the US has no care for promoting peace in Palestine and Israel. Instead, the U.S. is committed to helping Israel carry out its war crimes against the Palestinian people, which will also be seen as in history as a stain on humanity.
Yeah.
This is what IMU has shared. Let me share a little bit extra. Even with the recent news of the UN General Assembly passing a resolution for a ceasefire outside of the Security Council, we know that Israel has no obligation to follow it. Just as Israel has ignored all of the previous condemnations from international bodies like the UN for its excessive force, for its illegal settlements, Israel knows that it has no obligation to follow any of these resolutions as long as it has the US on its side. The UN is operating as it's designed, which is to be beholden to the US. It is not broken, it is operating as it's designed. We all have the responsibility as people who pay taxes in the US, also a settler state, to make this impossible. Our elected officials, our government, is just hoping to wait us out. They're hoping we will tire and we will give up because of the powers stacked against us, but we will prove them wrong. We will keep it in the streets. This is the biggest anti-war movement in the last 20 years, and we will not let it die out. We will continue to disrupt, and we will continue to scream, Gaza, Gaza, you're not alone!
Gaza, Gaza, you're not alone!
For their crimes they will atone!
For their crimes they will atone!
Gaza, Gaza, you're not alone!
Gaza, Gaza, you're not alone!
For their crimes they will atone!
For their crimes they will atone!
Thank you. We're moving into our final piece tonight, and we're gonna start getting this beautiful menorah lit up. Right now, song committee, let's go.
The moment has arrived. Yes, this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Chanukiah that is here is about to be lit up in this night. And light is something we all need so much more of right now. Light is something that we need. Light is something that Palestine needs. And we are here to gather in our light collectively. And I want to read you this poem that Rabbi Brant Rosen wrote back in 2015, because we know that this did not start on October 7th. We know that this genocide has been in the making for a very, very long time. Rabbi Rosen writes, "We light these lights for the instigators and the refusers, the obstinate and unyielding, for the ones who kept marching, the ones who tended the fires, the ones who would not bow down. We light these lights for the sparks that guide us on through the gentle night, for the darkness that swaddled us its soft embrace until the moment we inevitably emerge into life renewed. We light these lights for the spirit of resilience that remains after our strength has ebbed away, for the steadfast knowledge, even as the bullets echo repeatedly, of bodies lying in the streets, that the impunity of the powerful cannot last forever. These lights we light tonight will never be used for any other purpose but to proclaim the miracle of this truth. It is not by might, nor by cruelty, but by a love that burns relentlessly, that this broken world will be redeemed." Amen. He calls that a new Hanerot Hallelu prayer for the Hanukkah lightings.
As we move into lighting the Chanukiah, we are going to be using a beautiful lighting guide put together by Rabbis for Ceasefire, who have courageously chosen to be publicly out as Jews who are calling for ceasefire, as Jewish leaders who are saying, not in our name. As we move through this ritual, we'll be reading a short paragraph for each of the Jewish values, each of the midot that have been chosen by the Rabbis for Ceasefire to represent each of the candles. And in between, I'm going to invite us to sing a very short song that lifts up the fact that we are bringing new light into this world simply by being here, by bringing this together, by committing ourselves, by rededicating ourselves to Palestinian liberation, and to say that this is not where it ends. This bridge is just a symbol of the power that we have. The song that we'll sing between paragraphs goes like this. Repeat after me. It's written by Margot Siegel. Or Chadash, Or Chadash, Or Chadash. Or means light, Chadash is new, so we bring new light. Second part goes like this. There's no Jewish safety in occupation. No Jewish safety in occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine. Free Palestine, free Palestine. Let's try those two parts together. Or Chadash, Or Chadash. There's no Jewish safety in occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine. Beautiful. Wow, I get chills hearing a very large group of Jews singing that. We're going to move into the candle lighting. We're going to say the blessings as we reveal each of these lights. And these paragraphs we'll read one at a time. And like I said, we'll sing just that verse that we sang in between each of the paragraphs. At the end of all 8 paragraphs, we'll reveal the light. Sorry, I said that in a confusing way. At the end of each paragraph, we will reveal the light that it corresponds to, and then when we're done with all of them, we'll say the blessings for the lighting of the Chanukiah. We're gonna start with the Shamash. And I invite everyone to just take a look at the light as it is revealed. And remember, take this moment to dedicate yourself. What is the thing that you are going to do in the days coming to dedicate yourself to Palestinian liberation? You've chosen to show up here. That's a first step. That's a beautiful step. Thank you for being here. What's the next one? Candle 1, Lo V'chayil, ceasefire. In the Haftarah, we read on the first Shabbat of Hanukkah, we recite the words Lo V'chayil, Lo V'choach, Ki im bruchi. Not by might, not by power, but by spirit alone. We are embracing the rabbinical tradition that reminds us that by ruach, by our spirit, we survive and thrive, not by militarism. And that ceasefire means no more bombing of families and homes in Gaza. Ceasefire means all hostages must be released. Ceasefire means that we need immediate engagement by the international community towards a just and lasting peace in Israel and Palestine. Ceasefire is the only way to prevent more death and destruction. In this moment of tremendous fear and suffering, we believe there is no military solution. There is only a political one. May we commit ourselves to a path of life and away from the path of colonialism, away from the path of settler colonialism and of ongoing violence. Or Chadash, Or Chadash. There's no Jewish safety in occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine. Pikuach Nefesh, candle number 2. Saving a life trumps all other Jewish laws. Pikuach Nefesh, the obligation to save lives, is about protecting lives now and in the future. We believe that we cannot bomb our way to safety. The only path to lasting peace is to stop the cycle of violence by stopping this genocide and addressing the underlying conditions that dehumanize Palestinians and that put both Palestinians and Israelis and the entire world at risk. May we recommit towards a world where every life is seen and treated as precious. Or Chadash, Or Chadash. There's no Jewish safety in occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine.
Candle 3, Mati Asurim, free the captives. Every day in our liturgy, we pray for all those who are bound to be set free. We are grateful to see the hostages who have been released coming home. We pray for their healing and for all who remain in captivity to be released. We pray for the release of all those held unjustly in Israel prisons, including children held without trial. We pray for an end to the cycle of occupation and siege. May we work toward a future where all people are free and where no one suffers the horrors of captivity.
Or Chadash, Or Chadash. There's no Jewish safety in occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine.
Candle 4, B'Tselem Elohim, human dignity. We are all made B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God. Living into that truth is a core spiritual obligation of Judaism. That means we must treat all people with dignity. We witness the horror of the brutal siege on Gaza and the devastating humanitarian crisis happening before our eyes. We witness the mass graves in Gaza where people are not permitted dignity in death. We witness terrifying accounts of sexual violence against Israeli women and girls on October 7th. We know that every human being deserves to live in dignity and in safety, and that war crimes do not justify war crimes. May we see the divine in all human beings, and may we fight for the dignity of all Palestinians and Israelis.
Or Chadash, Or Chadash. There's no Jewish safety in occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine.
Candle number 5, L'Dor Vador, from generation to generation. The ancient rabbis celebrated the miracle of light as the central miracle of our holiday, rather than the militarism of the Maccabees. They helped shape our tradition by uplifting a story of hope and faith over the valorization of militarism. We carry that same obligation today. May we honor our collective ancestors and fight for a better future for all of our children. Candle 5. Or Hadash, Or Hadash. There's no Jewish safety in occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine. Candle 6. Ezehu Gibor, who is courageous? In Pirkei Avot, the sages asked, Ezehu Gibor, who is courageous? They answered with a quote from Proverbs. One that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and one that rules his spirit more than one that takes a city. Proverbs 16:32. We ask today, who is courageous? And we answer, the one who imagines a different way forward. May we honor the courage of all those working for an enduring and just peace. May we join in their struggle. Or Hadash, Or Hadash. There's no Jewish safety in occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine.
Candle 7, action is the only recognizable feature of hope. We see hope in practice through the Hanukkah story of the miracle of light that lasted longer than anyone possibly could. People lit the menorah even though they did not know how they would find enough oil to keep the flames burning. And just as the Hanukkah story, we act out of hope, out as a vision of the world redeemed, where all people are free. Maybe we find our way to hope in action.
Or Hadash, Or Hadash. There's no Jewish safety in occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine.
Candle 8, Zikronam Livracha, in remembrance of those who have been killed. We honor the memories of every Israeli and Palestinian who has been killed. We know that each life is precious world on itself. We mourn all these deaths deeply. We face the massive and still rising death toll in Gaza, which includes thousands of children, and we call for a political solution rather than a bombing. May the memories of every person killed be a blessing to all those who love them, and may we honor their memories by acting for lasting peace and justice.
Or Hadash, Or Hadash. There's no Jewish safety in occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine. The third part of that song goes like this. Repeat after me. Dream with me liberation. Dream with me liberation. One more time. Dream with me liberation. All of these parts layer on top of each other. So I'm wondering if we can give that a shot, because there is power. Yes, there's power in song. There is power in ritual. And gathering together in this way to say, we want to use our light to liberate. We want to use our light to liberate ourselves through joining in solidarity with liberating Palestine. So here's how it goes. Let's try this section. Ready? You're going to do the beginning. Or Chadash. Or Chadash. Or
Chadash. Keep singing it this section. There's no Jewish safety in occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine. Keep going. Dream with me liberation. Dream with me liberation. Or Chadash. There's no Jewish safety in occupation. Dream with me liberation. Dream with me liberation. Free Palestine, free Palestine. Or Chadash, or Chadash. No Jewish safety in occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine. Dream with me liberation. Dream with me liberation. Dream with me liberation. Everyone dream with me. Dream with me liberation. Dream with me liberation. Dream with me liberation. Dream with me liberation. Thanks to Margot Siegel for that beautiful Hanukkah melody. So I said before that the moment had arrived, but now the moment has arrived for us to say the blessings over this beautiful, beautiful Chanukiah that we see in front of us. It's been building. We've been building this. We've been building community. We've been building light with each other tonight. And as we say these blessings, again, I invite you back 8 candles ago, because we know that ritual changes us. Think back 8 candles ago. What did you dedicate yourself to? What is that thing that you're rededicating yourself to? Now, as a changed person, we're changed by ritual. We are changed by being in community. What are you dedicating yourself to? Palestinian liberation is at the core of why we are here. What are we dedicating ourselves to? Taking in the light, or Chadash, the new light we're bringing into the world. If you know the blessing, sing along. If you don't, sing along. And if you'd rather not, just absorb. This is a beautiful tradition that's been done for a whole lot longer than the state of Israel has existed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu And because this is the first time that this group has gathered in this way, and because the Shehechianu is something that we say when we are doing a new thing that we hope will happen again, I will say that I hope this version of collective power, this number of people who come out to say, we are Jews calling for ceasefire and we stand with Palestine, I hope this collective showing of power happens again. And so say with me also, Ashehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Thank you. As we are drawing to a close, I want to root us one more time. This is a joyful moment of getting to light the candles in this way, and I want to root us one more time in the sadness that brings us here together, the grief that brings us here, and the death and destruction that brings us here. And I want to take a moment for us to just have a moment of silence after we are changed by this ritual, for our new selves to experience together in community, in this power that we are grieving. We're going to take just a few seconds to remember why we are here, to rededicate ourselves, and to take a moment of silence for all of the thousands and thousands, over 18,000 Palestinians killed in the name of Zionism, in the name, and falsely in the name of Judaism. Or Chadash, Or Chadash. There's no Jewish safety in occupation. Free Palestine, free Palestine. Dream with me liberation. Dream with me liberation.
Thank you, Sivan, for your beautiful spiritual leadership as we light this menorah. We mourn the dead, and we continue to fight for the living. We have gathered here on this bridge, but we are not the only ones gathering on bridges today. Jews across the country have taken bridges for the last night of Hanukkah to demand a ceasefire now to call for an end to the occupation, to show the world, to show our elected officials, we say what Israel is doing is not in our name. It is not aligned with Jewish values. And we say that the Israeli state does not speak for us. We can speak for ourselves, and we have spoken here today. We know that most of Oregon's congressional representatives have not endorsed an unqualified ceasefire. Many have put out statements that are at best tepid. We want them to use all of the power at their disposal in Congress, especially Earl Blumenauer, who is not even running for re-election.
Come on, Earl!
This will be his legacy. He will be known for aiding and abetting genocide at the last. And I know that there are people here from all across the greater Portland area who are in other districts. And we know that all of us have been calling, have been writing letters, and that is not enough in this moment, which is why we have blocked this bridge during rush hour traffic. In the cold, in the dark, that we are warmed by the fires of taking action together, and we are warmed by the light of our menorah here. We know that this is not the end. We will continue to take action. We will continue to take action until there is a permanent ceasefire, and we will not stop there. We will continue to take action until there is no longer an occupation and Palestine is free. We're going to start to wrap up our program tonight. I want to thank everyone so much for coming out today. All of the people who have put in so much work to make this happen, thank you. And I'm going to pass the mic on for a closing song.
Earlier tonight, we sang one of the Hanukkah classics, O Hanukkah, with some new words. And I'd like to invite us to close on a different Hanukkah classic, a rewrite instead of Sivivan Sof Sof Sof. If you're familiar with this tune, great. If not, we're going to do this as a repeat after me. You can also find it as the last one on your song sheet. Give everyone a second. Repeat after me. Liberation, here we come. On Hanukkah, our voices won. Free Palestine and end the siege. In liberation, all are free. A miracle we're bound to bring. With hopeful hearts we gladly sing. Bombs won't forge a way to peace. In liberation all are free. Dreaming justice hand in hand. Siblings from across all lands. Our light can change the course of time. We grieve and march with Palestine. On this night we dedicate. Candles sing to brighter days. Stories tell how freedom shines. May freedom We're gonna try it from the beginning. Sing along if you know it. And that last bit, it says on your sheet, but we usually sing Chag Simcha Hulam, a great day, a beautiful day, a joyous day. This is for the nation. Instead, we say Chag Beitzar, a day of narrowness, a day of sorrow. This is from the beginning. Liberation, here we come on Hanukkah, our voices one. Free Palestine and end the siege. Liberation, all are free. A miracle we're bound to bring. With hopeful hearts we proudly sing. Bombs won't forge a way to peace. Liberation, all are free. Hand in hand, siblings from across the land. Light can change the course of time. Free and march with Palestine. On this night we dedicate candles sing to brighter days. Stories tell how freedom shines. Freedom comes to Palestine. Tzedek, tzedek, dear dog.
Mind if I get your sign on camera? Thank you.
May freedom come to
Thank you everyone so much for coming today. We're going to close now. The barricades will stay in place until everyone is off the bridge, but you can stand up now. If you don't have a role in cleanup, you can proceed back to your cars. May we see a free Palestine in our time. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
Reminder to keep the north lane clear as you are going back to your cars. That is still an emergency vehicle route. Thank you everyone so much.
All right, y'all, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thanks for watching. Until next time, free Palestine.